Hey everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Rock and Roll Experience with Mike Brunn. On this episode, we discuss Paul Stanley's upcoming Soul Station album, Now and Then, coming out on March 5th. We also discuss the first single that was just released today, and give you our thoughts and our comments about it. As most Kiss fans know, this song and this album is not in the same style of music that Kiss is known for, as Paul is doing an R&B cover album, as well as throwing in a few new originals. So this is really interesting, and we look forward to hearing your comments and thoughts about this episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock and Roll Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. You could also follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well. Now, without further ado, let's jump in and let's get started with our conversation about Paul Stanley's Soul Station. Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Rock and Roll Experience with Mike Brunn. Today, I am excited to have back on the show with me for the first time in 2021. It is.
Is that weird?
It is. Yes, it is. It
Oh,
is.
wow.
My buddy, no longer my partner in crime, Mr. Vincent LaRussa. How you doing, buddy?
Well, now that you say that, why did it take 15 days for it to be the first time?
Because this is, I guess, the first time we have a topic that's worthy of discussion.
All right, fair enough.
and I have to give you credit for that because we both saw last night, well, I guess really technically today, Paul Stanley dropped his first single for his Soul Station project, and I'm working, and you text me, hey, we should do an episode, and that's why I keep you around, right? Because you always keep me honest with this kind of thing. So,
I try.
yes, you do a good job with that, buddy. So, first off, everybody watching, I just want to wish everybody a happy new year, and hope 2021 is a much better year for everybody around the world.
I agree with that.
Yes, indeed. So we start off 2021 not really with a new Kiss song, but with a Kiss product, right? Paul Stanley, first Soul Station song. So I'll let you start off Kiss-related product. How about that? Not Kiss product.
Okay, yeah. I was about to have our first argument.
Yes,
with you
misspoke.
for the new year.
I see you going, and I'm like, what do you mean? And I goes, oh, I said Kiss product. I meant Kiss-related.
Right.
Kiss-related product.
Yes, right.
Right? So I'll let you start off. What do you think of this?
Well, as you know, I am a longtime fan of this style of music. The old school R&B music is something that, other than, my rich heritage or looking back at my
Wow, I didn't realize I was in company of such royalty here with your rich heritage.
my rich heritage of enjoying rock and roll music. If that even makes any sense, I think you kind of understand what I'm trying to say, but I'm not articulating it in the right way. I've been saying for the longest time, I play in many bands that I would love to.
Sorry. For the longest. Anyways, this is what 2021 is going to be like for us this year. That's
exactly.
it. More shenanigans than ever before.
We always say before we discuss any topic that we don't want to have any kind of pre-discussion, So this was not rehearsed.
No, it wasn't. And it sounded like it wasn't rehearsed. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. What was I saying?
I was
saying,
your long, rich history and all of that.
Yeah. But that at some point in time, I would love to put together an old school. I've been saying this for years. Old school R&B band playing bass guitar or drums, and then I see Paul Stanley puts it together and doesn't hire me. So the first thing is I'm upset.
Of course, very understandable. Although
understanding Paul's
he did have Eric Singer on the drums, so that was a tough one. But he could have had you for bass.
I guess so.
Yeah,
and he did ask Gene, so that makes me feel a little better.
That's right.
So I really, we've been seeing for the past, I want to say more than a year, right? Because I think it was even in 2019 we started seeing some sprinkling of Paul being involved in this thing. This was certainly something whenever he posted a video or rehearsal thing. I know during, I think maybe last summer he did post something about like some sort of collaborative video that he did of them doing. I forgot what tune it was.
Was it like something like "Ooh, Baby, Baby" or something like that? Yeah.
The Smokey Robinson tune.
Which I thought this was the same song being released. So, because this, at least for me, who's not overly familiar like you, the titles are similar, at least in my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm listening. I'm like, that's not the same song. But anyway, go ahead. I diverted us. Go ahead.
But the first thing is, are you aware of this song? Did you know this song?
So honestly, I know most of the songs that he's covering. I'm not a fan. I don't have the royalty in the background the way you do. I did not know this song, actually. So no, this was a new song for me, where I assume you probably knew this song for years, if not decades, right?
Growing up, this was certainly something that played in my household. It's also been in a lot of movies, but so maybe it's one of those songs that you probably have come across, whether it's been your parents playing it when you were younger or whatever, and it just never resonated with you for whatever reason. And maybe this version will. Who knows?
And you know, as far as movies, I only watched Star Wars, Superman, and My Cousin Vinny. So it wasn't in any of those. I didn't hear.
And the Wonder Woman. Don't forget.
That's right. And the Wonder Woman. Exactly.
Man, someone with a shorter movie list than me.
Exactly.
So I was very excited. You actually alerted me through your experience page. Was it on your experience page?
Yep. I put on my experience page last night. Yep.
That was dropping, and last night I go to Spotify and I'm like texting you, it's not working for me. Is it a dead link or something? You're like, it probably has to wait till tomorrow. And so I had the opportunity to listen to it, and it's interesting. It's a very interesting listen, because here it is, one of our heroes, and for me, it's like hearing him sing another genre of music that I love. It's like I'm like so excited about that, because here's a guy who sings, Love Gun, and Detroit Rock City, and Making Love and whatever.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden he's singing an R&B song. This song was actually originally recorded in 1970 by the Five Fair Steps, I think they were called.
I think that's right. Yeah.
I think they were part of like Curtis Mayfield's band or group or singers, because Curtis Mayfield and the Impressions was before he was Curtis Mayfield. So I think he had some.
But let me pause you for 10 minutes, because you educated me. So you're saying the original was actually recorded in 1970?
Yes, that year has significance to us, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, besides being, quality year, because I came around. I'm surprised, because I just thought all these songs were from the 50s. So it's interesting that this one's actually from 1970. So, see, I'm learning more and more as we talk here.
This is good. Yeah. So this is good. I enjoy the fact that I'm more knowledgeable about something.
I know, it doesn't happen often, so I could.
That's why I do believe you're educating me on whatever it is.
Not true, but okay, I'll bask in that moment.
Yeah. So if we were to talk about the New York Dolls, I'm sure you'd be able to tell me something I don't know anything about.
Right.
I listened to it about an hour ago for the first time, and it's again, I was getting to listen to Paul sing, because we're so used to hearing Paul in his new voice of the last, how many years you want to say, 6 years,
sure,
7 years of where, there's obviously been a change in his vocals, as there is in almost every vocalist that's ever existed.
His range is not what it was in the 80s, that's for sure.
Right. Expect him to sing like he did on the Animalized tour. If you watch the Animalized uncensored video, or even whatever in the 90s, it's not realistic for anybody. It's just your body, just cannot do it. But I did enjoy hearing this, because you've got to sing differently for a style of music like this. And we know that Paul has the ability to do this because he did his work with Phantom of the Opera. And if anybody, go YouTube it, listen to his voice, and he sings in this lower register of a lot of that stuff. And I wish I was fortunate like you were to actually have seen that. I would have loved to have seen that live, that Phantom of the Opera performance. But yeah, so getting to my point, I know this is long and winded, I really thought he did a great job. And anything I've seen thus far of him doing anything that's related to this project, I've been really impressed. And as a matter of fact, some people who are in my circles who love this music too, I said, "Oh, check out Paul Stanley." And then first, Paul Stanley's gonna do this,
Mm-hmm.
And then they watched it. They're like, "Wow, that's really good." I think one of the things was a couple live performances that he had that maybe somebody had posted. It's some shows that he did. This was pre, COVID situation, and yeah, I was really impressed with the stuff back then, and I'm really impressed with this. And again, you have to think that you're in the studio, you could fix this and that. He has all the time in the world to perfect it, to get his vibrato right, and whether or not they use any trickery and tools, whatever. Listen, that's just the nature of the game.
I was gonna say that's no different than every other artist, right?
Every other artist, including myself, I'll say, if you can use a tool, to whether you're playing a guitar, bass, whatever. I'm not saying fudge stuff. I'm saying just improve it a little bit. People have been doing this for years.
Does a butter knife count as a tool?
Only in your household in 1987.
Sorry.
Story for another day.
Another day. That's right.
But I'll give you a for instance, and because a lot of people talk about auto tuning and fixing vocals and stuff like that. Well, one of the tricks that people used to do back in the day when they recorded on reel-to-reel tape was if somebody couldn't hit a pitch of a song or a note, they would slow down the tape.
Right.
And slowing down the tape slows down the pitch. Then you can hit that note. So even when there wasn't digital, there were all kinds of tricks that studios or engineers would use. So this is not anything new. Right. And I'm not saying there's every bag of trick was used on this song. That's not my point.
Right.
All I'm saying is that you when you listen to the product, you hear something that's really, really good in my opinion. I love this song, I love that, and I saw I think it was maybe on his Instagram that they got real horn players, real string players. This was not a keyboard player, just like hitting that cheesy.
I think he's got a 15-piece band with him that recorded this.
Yeah. What I did hear again, which again bothers me, and again I don't have fact to this, is on the drum sound. You're probably like, all right, enough with the drum sound. He does a little.
I think the last album that had a good drum sound to you was like 1972 or something like that, right?
Yeah, I always bring up, Eddie Kramer's work on Rock and Roll Over and Love One, but yeah, it just had that to me again. I could be wrong. It had that. It sounded like there was some sound replacement on the snare drum. Again, has nothing to do with Paul's vocals, but for me, it just it didn't sound as organic. Now, however, I did listen to it on my laptop speakers. I will give it another listen. This doesn't take away in any way, shape, or form the result or the final result. It's just my own preference if I was in the studio recording.
Well, you're a pain in the ass producer. We know that.
Yes.
Anybody who watches this show knows you said that about a few different albums in the past, right? So
I did. So
at
least I'm consistent.
That's right. But to me, what's funny, though, is when I listen to it, and I'm not a fan of the genre the way you are, although some of the songs I certainly appreciate, and some of the songs he's covering I even appreciate. But I was taken actually with the drums and kind of remembering that, hey, that's Eric Singer on the drums. And it has obviously a very different feel, the whole drum track. And to me, he seemed very comfortable in that drum style, at least to me as a non-drummer, right? You play drums, so you could tell me what you heard. But to me, it seemed very, like I wouldn't be like, oh, that's a hard rock, heavy metal type of drummer playing. I would have just thought it was somebody who plays R&B music. Maybe I'm wrong. You tell me.
Well, up until you reminded me of the fact just now, literally, that even was a connector. So that's actually a positive thing because it just went by me like as if, he hired some studio R&B drummer to play on that, One of the things I'll tell you about Eric Singer from a personal standpoint, we both had the fortune of having him sign something for us at one of the conventions. Might have been the indie thing.
I think it was the indie thing.
And you know me, I'm always like, when I get up to the table, what should I say? I want to ask him something. I want to ask him something drum related.
Right.
And of course, the first thing I did was compliment his work in Badlands, because I don't know how many people bring that up. And I loved Badlands.
I know you
did.
And
I loved his drumming with Badlands. I think we saw them live together at one show, and there might have been another show that I went separately from you.
Thanks for
inviting. I had asked. Oh yeah, what about the Phantom of the Opera? I didn't dig into you about the Phantom of the Opera.
I was waiting for you to rebut with that.
Is that why you were laughing before?
Yeah, I was waiting for it. The whole time you were talking about it, I'm waiting for you to say it.
I was thinking about it. But one of the things I asked him, after I complimented him, I said, "Hey, Eric, like, how did you, your technique? I noticed whatever." And he mentioned about a book, and I don't remember what book he did when he was very young, about a book that he worked on his hands.
Okay.
Because as a drummer and as somebody who studied for almost 10 years, you could watch certain things and say, that didn't happen by accident. There's something that he was taught, or he went through some sort of whatever book or something to learn that technique. And he mentioned this book, which I had never heard of. And then I, of course, went back and looked it up, and it was probably a book that came out in the 50s or 60s. I don't remember exactly, but it was like an old school book.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, and what I'm trying to get to, is that just because you could play fast double bass and you could, wipe down your elbow while you're doing a drum solo, right. there's much more, like a lot of these guys, that these guys can do because of proper technique. I'm sure he could probably do some jazz. I'm sure he can do, some funk, or, maybe whatever,
Sure.
So that part didn't come as a surprise to me, just because, doing a little bit more digging with Eric personally, and him telling me like what his background was. But yeah, I thought the thing that I liked about the tune is because sometimes people like when somebody does a different take on something. I loved it that they stayed true to the original, in my opinion.
Right, you see.
You know what I mean? In certain things, I would want to hear something a little different. But this song, to me, didn't call for that.
Right.
This song called for me, having, Paul as a lead vocal, having good supporting background vocals, the horns, the strings, great bass line. There's a part where he's singing, ooh, child, and then you hear the bass kind of, not getting in the way, but he, just doing really peaceful stuff. Guy could have just laid back and just kept staying on the route, but he kind of just moved around there, and I thought that was great. And listen, but even before we decided to talk about this, it's already pre-ordered for me on Amazon.
I was gonna ask you if you pre-ordered. So, but you pre-ordered on Amazon, so I'm surprised that you say that, because I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to go into Gene Simmons mode. If you go on paulstanley.com right now, on Paul Stanley's website, he's actually got pre-orders for the vinyl, right? Did you see that?
I didn't see that, but somebody, a good friend of mine, Super Mario, he mentioned that I think on You Discover they had a purple edition.
Yeah, I was going to say they have a purple and a black. Because look, around you, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2,000, about 3,000 vinyl albums, right?
Yeah.
So we all know you collect vinyl at this point, so I assumed that that's the purchase you would have made.
No, you know what? I think you and I have talked about this. I got sort of oversaturated in the colored vinyl thing. I think at first it was really cool, like all this colored vinyl, and then I just started to think I was starting to pay a premium for all this stuff, and for something like this, I probably wound up regretting it. Amazon I think has the regular black, standard vinyl, and to pay $10 cheaper, I mean, to me, it's I just thought that was the better choice.
So the year of 2021, you're no longer a millionaire.
I'm still a millionaire.
Okay.
I just make maybe
smart decisions.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, not to put whatever, if somebody wants the colored vinyl. Listen, we spoke recently about it was the Unmasked Splattered.
Yep.
And you were like, yeah, I think it's still available. And of course, I was like, yeah, I didn't really. And as soon as we're done with the thing, I was like,
right.
And I think I told you, I said, I don't see it, and it looks like it's gone.
Out.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So here it is. Like, I didn't care about it when it came out. Now you're telling me, well, I think there had some problem in the Dress to Kill was the one.
That there
was some manufacturing. And of course, I'm like, damn, I should have gotten it.
Right. Of course.
So you know what I mean? Hindsight, whatever. But for something like this, for me, I could listen to it on. I pay for Apple Music. I pay for Tidal. I don't have to buy this product.
Right.
However, as being a completist, I would love to have this, especially it being a KISS-related project.
Just related, right? Don't forget the keyword related, like I did.
Yeah, I would love to hear it on the turntable, especially something like this, because, these are old school songs. I want to hear it on an old school method.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me,
so I didn't realize Amazon had it on vinyl to order. So that's why when you started saying you got it on Amazon, I'm like, you bought a CD? You really?
Yeah,
You
no.
bought the CD? Right, so that's why I had to stop you, right? So, all right, at least you got a vinyl version because I
Yes.
was gonna end this right now if you said you got it on CD.
Yeah, no. And I think when's the vinyl expected? The vinyl's expected,
I think it
I
comes out
think,
March 5th.
5th.
Right,
March 5th,
yep.
yeah. So, yeah, when my buddy told me about it, I went to Amazon, just say, hey, let me see if this is available. And it was there. And
right.
I'm just looking at the list. I mean,
yeah.
To me, I love every one of these songs. So I'm thoroughly excited about this release, really. So
now I think the part that interests me, I'm sorry to cut you off,
yeah,
because I don't have the list in front of me, but I think there's 9 cover tunes, and if I remember right, there's 5 originals on there, and that to me interests me to hear Stanley doing 5 originals in this style, right? Because I have to, obviously it's not going to be a new version of Love Gun, Detroit Rock City, like you said before.
Yeah,
they're going to be in this style, so I'm curious to see what he comes up with new in this genre. That part really intrigues me quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking right off just by titles. Just looking at titles, right. I don't recognize 3 or maybe 4, but you're probably right in the number there.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, do we know who wrote these tunes? Is this something that
I'm assuming he wrote them? I don't know that. Maybe you could find something as we're chatting right now, but no pressure to do that. But I do know that there's 5 new songs, so we know Stanley writes songs all the time, so I'm assuming they're his.
Yeah.
But and look, while you're looking at that stuff there, to me, it was the first I had seen of the title of the album cover, Now and Then, which I thought, to me, that sounded like to me a cool name as well, because now you got the 5 new songs, you've got him covering these classics now, and then is a kind of tip of the hat to the fact that they are some classic songs here. So I kind of thought the title of the album was cool. Like I started off saying, I'm mixed on the whole project simply because I'm not a huge fan of that type of music, but seeing that there's going to be 5 new songs definitely piques my interest more than maybe it would have been.
So I would assume, you see, this is where we probably differ, and I know I'm going to make a controversial statement right now.
Here we go.
Drum roll, please. I almost rather hear this product, even though it's just a Paul Stanley and Eric Stern, you could say. So
right.
It's, 2/4 of Kiss than a new Kiss album. At this point, I knew, and you know what? All right.
That pains me.
Well, all right. Let me be fair, okay? And I could see how other people would be like, he's totally out of his mind. I totally get that, and I totally respect that. As you know, the last couple albums that Kiss has put out hasn't thrilled me at all. That's number one. Number two, I'm always looking for something to be new and different, something that hasn't been done before. The bar is raised so high, when it comes to Kiss stuff, especially by me, criticizes everything, It's almost like with something like this, I know that most of them are covers, so I'm going to love this. I'm going to love them probably,
right.
You know what I mean? And I'll be curious about the 5 originals. Whereas I guess, a new Kiss product, I just highly doubt that it would ever be at the level I'm going to really like this thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm figuring, but then again, look, to be fair, knowing that the Kiss is on the end of the road, it would be nice for them to have one more product. So I will say that, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I guess my end statement of that, can they have both? Can Kiss do another product? Because now I'm thinking about, yeah, you know what?
Right. Well,
nice,
I wish for the end of the road that they had done at least one new song. Not even a whole album. Just put out one song, promote the tour, new song, but that's a whole topic for another whole day, right? I would have preferred that, but I think it's cool. What I like about this is that Paul is doing something he loves, right? He's obviously got a huge love of this music. He knows that it's not going to appeal to every Kiss fan, right? You know that right off the top, right? Because it's not like he's covering a Led Zeppelin album here, right? So he's doing a genre of music.
That's what Ace does.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So this is not a safe move for him, right? But it's something that he's obviously passionate about and he loves. And to me, and I say this about many artists, Paul's earned the right to do whatever the hell he damn well wants at this point. So if he wants to put out an album of R&B covers, well, good for him because it makes him happy. And that's really, to me, all that should matter. There's some people like you that are going to be totally excited. There's going to be some people like me that's like 50-50. There's going to be other people that are like, nope, I'm not going to listen to that because I don't like R&B music. And I don't think he really cares, because to him, he's just having a great time. And that, to me, I find that cool, actually.
Well, there's one thing that's consistent, and there's one thing that's inconsistent with this product, in my opinion. The consistent thing is Paul Stanley usually does what Paul Stanley wants.
Right.
And Paul Stanley's very strong about his opinion. The thing that I think contradicts Kiss, in the sense, is that they've said, well, it doesn't make sense for us to put out a new product at this day. You know what I mean? It, you know, with the way the market is, and streaming, and it, you know, it's not viable, whatever word. I mean,
right.
you've read stuff like
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you. That being the case, so why put out this product?
Right.
If that's, you know what I mean? If that's in the marketplace we're in right now, then put out a damn Kiss product too. You know.
But I think it goes right to what we were saying before. I think this product to him is not about sales. It's not about comparing it to Rock and Roll Over or Love Gun or even Revenge. Right. This is just about. This brings me happiness. This is something different. This is, you know, something I'm challenging myself. And if it only sells 1,000 copies, I really don't care, because it's just bringing me. Everything I've read, that seems to be his mindset about this.
Okay, so do you think that maybe Kiss's mindset is, you know, with Kiss, the expectation is so damn high. You know, if we don't put out something that people love, whatever, we're going to get highly criticized for it. So rather than let's play it safe, not put out the product. I mean, we don't know what's going on in the background, because I would figure that, I mean, when did Monster come out? Was that 2013?
Yeah, or 2012, something like that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I would figure that, you know, other than Paul being involved in this the last couple of years, that especially someone like Gene, they'd be itching, like, come on, we got to get something. We want to get in the studio. I mean, they've had opportunities, whether it's Gene got to write with Ace on a couple of tunes, or Paul played on or sang on Ace's Origins 1.
Yep.
You know, that you get that itch. You're always going to have that itch to write and to do stuff. So I don't know.
I think what it comes down to is, for the casual, the average fan, like for me, I get excited when a new Kiss album comes out. I get excited when they do those new songs live in concert. But if I take my Kiss fandom out of the equation, if I go see, I don't know, Bon Jovi, haven't seen him in years, but if I go see Bon Jovi in concert, I kind of want to hear Slippery When Wet in New Jersey. I don't care what was on the new albums, right? Those are the songs I want to hear in concert. If I go see Def Leppard, I kind of want to hear the songs from Pyromania and Hysteria. I don't want to hear songs that are from the last two albums. That's just because, as much of a fan I am of those albums, I'm not a diehard. And I think Kiss recognizes, hey, we could put out a product. It might sell 100,000 copies in today's environment, which would be good. But the average rock fan is not going to care. You know, so I would think they kind of lose some interest in that for that reason, you know?
Yeah.
Where this is being put out for a whole different reason. I think this is put out for a personal reason. Again, I respect that. I wish there was a new Kiss album instead, but I totally get what he's doing with this. And, you know, I'm happy for him that he's doing it, put it to you that way.
Yeah. So I guess in closing of this part,
yes,
you know, I would love another Kiss album. Don't get me wrong. I would, but I think the fact that this is something new and different from one of the members in Kiss, you know, I think even goes back to what I said about when we did our Peter Criss review. The reason why I love that record so much, because it didn't sound like a Kiss record.
Yep.
So I'm excited that Paul Stanley's putting out a record that's not going to sound like Live to Win, or it's not going to sound like his solo album, or it's not going to sound like, you know, a Kiss album. You know, yes, it's mostly covers, but now there's going to be some original material on there, which I didn't even know until you told me this. Now I'm really excited. Like, what are these songs going to sound like? Hopefully, you know, I tried to look quickly to see if there's any songwriting list or, you know, who wrote, but I didn't see anything about credits on the song. But I'm very, very excited, and I think this is a good step one. And I'm just curious of what's going to happen, because if the world, you know, if they flick the switch to go, you know, back on the air and we start having concerts again, you know, Kiss is going to want to start touring. I think they already have some shows booked for later this year. So where's the Soul Station thing going to fit into this whole thing, you know? Because I think this was already delayed, right? This release, wasn't it supposed to come out last year? I believe
so, yeah, I believe so. Don't quote me on that one, but I believe so. Yeah.
So if Paul is coming to a neighborhood near me and is playing Soul Station music, I'm going to be there. You know, that's how strongly I feel about this release.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and look, hearing this version and hearing that video he put out a few months ago, which I thought was excellent. Actually, it was just him and like 2 or 3 of the members of his band, which I thought that was excellent. You know,
Yeah.
It gets me more interested. The 5 new songs definitely gets me interested. I listened to this. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know the song, so that made it like a little bit of an interesting experience for me. Whereas you were able to compare it to the original. But you know, look, I've seen a bunch of people online already. Hey, it's coming out March 5th. I ordered the purple vinyl. I ordered both purple and black, and I think that's kind of cool that he's maybe opening some Kiss fans' minds, and maybe even my own included, to something different that they haven't heard in the past. So I think that's kind of cool.
What I'm hoping in your case is kind of like when you told me about seeing Paul McCartney in concert. You knew of the body of work of the Beatles, right, but it wasn't until you went to a show and you were like, wow, these are some of the greatest songs that were ever written. Like, it resonated with you probably for the first time at that moment. I'm sure you're never going to be a huge R&B fan. You know what I mean? You know, there's probably more of a chance of me being a big Sex Pistols fan at this point. And you know how extreme that is, okay? But you might get more interested or might like the record more once you get, you know, a real taste of it from Paul. As you wouldn't have put probably any of these songs on just in your general leisure, you know? So, like I work leisure.
Oh, you threw in an accounting term for me. Thank you.
Yeah. Not leisure, leisure.
Leisure. Oh, okay. General leisure. All right. Yeah. No. And look, if nothing else, and I enjoy this part of it. It's educating me. I obviously am very familiar with a number of the songs, but like I said, I did not know this song at all. And to hear now, as you just educated me, this was recorded originally in 1970. I'm like, oh wow, that's kind of cool. So I enjoyed that aspect of it all. Also, just being educated on some of the music history that I'm far from an expert on. So.
Yeah, and you know what? The other thing that I thought this was because by no means, in no stretch, is this easy music to sing vocally, but this is much different than him going, "I really love you, baby."
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, like, and then that was a bad version of Love Gun, I'm sure. But you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, he could sing a much different way, and use a voice that he doesn't use on the Kiss side. And listen, I've said this more so recently. There's a cover of this. I want to get this right because people should check it out. So just let me bring up the YouTube here. Yeah. I think I had mentioned this to you. This subscription I have. How come I'm not seeing it now? Oh yeah, they're called the Hindley Street Country Club. Okay, they do great covers. Period. Okay. They're from Australia. I think I had sent you a link of them doing Sure Know Something.
Yep, I remember that. Yep.
They did a cover of I Was Made for Loving You.
Okay.
And it's obviously the one guy who sings on both is a Kiss fan because even on another song, I think he's doing like Oh Sherry. He's wearing like a Peter Criss solo album shirt. And this guy's really good. I mean, anything this guy does and anything they do. So check them out. They're called the Hindley Street Country Club.
Okay.
My point being is that they did I Was Made for Loving You. Now, you know the falsetto part, and, you know, people don't realize that is one of the greatest, like, vocal performances, I'm going to say, of all time on record.
Wow.
Because Paul's range there, people don't understand how hard that is, especially when he does that last line, I can't get enough, you know, don't ask me to do it.
Oh, come
on.
My
point being, no. There's a part where the lead singer, he's, you know, right before that, you know, it goes to background vocal singing. And the one guy does it first, and he does a falsetto thing. Then the second half of that, a girl does it to go to the next, you know. And then the last one, where it says, you know, I can't get enough, the guy just sings it in like a no, I can't get enough, whatever, you know what I mean? He doesn't do that, you know. Now, whether they could have done it, I don't know.
Right.
But my feeling is they probably would have done it if they could have done it because it's such an impressive thing.
Right.
But I guess what my point was is that Paul Stanley is one of the most underrated vocalists of all time.
That I agree.
You know, you always hear about the Robert Plants, the Roger Daltrys, the Steve Perrys. I mean, I could go on and on, but Paul Stanley never gets the credit he was due because he's in the band Kiss and because of the stigma that the band's had over the years by critics. And I can name a whole bunch of other tunes, but that was one tune that I listened to more so recently, and I was just like, wow, this is an incredible vocal. And so my point being of this long-winded comparison or whatever, and it wasn't just to promote this band or this group, YouTube
that you don't even know.
Yeah, that I have no association with, is that it doesn't surprise me that Paul could do this. As it doesn't surprise me that he was able to do Phantom of the Opera. You've heard him talk like that was a huge challenge for him. You know what I mean? He worked really, really hard on that. It's not just something you could step into the Phantom shoes, put on the cape, and say, okay, I'm the Phantom, I can sing, And it just goes to show his work ethic and his determination and his drive. When he wants to get something done, it gets done, and it's a really good product. So I think it's tremendous that he's doing this.
So if I was going to summarize this, I think you like the recording, you like the cover a lot, you like the vocal, you wish he called you to play bass or to produce it. Right? I think that's the summary.
Well, I don't know about the producer. I mean, yeah, of course, but that's very far-fetched.
Of course. And obviously I'm busting your chops here, but...
Yeah, no.
Because you went on to say what a great bass line that was and whatever, and I wanted to jump in for a moment. I didn't want to break your stride, but I was going to say, well, that's why you weren't called. But I said, let you keep going.
Exactly. But yeah, I guess if Paul was going to do something else other than Kiss, I'm glad he chose this.
Interesting. So, and as you're saying all of this, I try to think to myself, what other hard rock singers could pull off hard rock, Phantom of the Opera, R&B album? I'm sure there are some. I'm not saying that there's none. I'm not saying Stanley's the only one, but it's a small pool probably. It's not all of these singers that could do this.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen guys like the Rod Stewarts, the Michael Boltons, the Michael McDonalds. They've done these types of things, But
none of them are in the hard rock.
No. I mean, you could say early Rod Stewart.
Yes.
That was hard rock. Right. But Rod Stewart with that rough voice singing Phantom of the Opera was never going to work. But
and that's why I said all three. Look, because I'm thinking like imagine James Hetfield doing an album like this. I can't, and that's and I think he's got a great voice, right? And he's perfect for Metallica. But I don't think he could do something like this. And that's not a knock. It's just different voices, different styles. I'm hard pressed to think of other hard rock singers, and maybe that'll be the thing that we ask people to comment on, right? Are there any other hard rock singers that you could think that could pull something off, even if you're like this, even if you're not a huge fan of the R&B stuff? I have to give credit where credit's due. Paul's doing something out of his comfort zone that he knows is not going to appeal to every single Kiss fan, and to me pulls it off very well, so kudos to him for that. And I'd love to see if anybody could think of other hard rock artists 70s, 80s, 90s that could do this. Imagine like Kurt Cobain doing something like this. Obviously he's not alive, but you get the point, right?
Yeah, and just to kind of deviate a little bit from Paul on another Kiss member, and this really has nothing to do with Paul's release, but it's just something that just came to my mind. As I was listening, I finished up listening to the 45 single box set, the Casablanca box set. And I was listening to World Without Heroes on that. Kind of every song I put on with fresh ears, listen to the B-sides or everything, which was cool. And when I listened to Gene's vocal on that, I was like, wow, this is a great vocal. And it's like not the stereotypical Gene vocal, whatever Bob did to get that sound of his voice. And we know that the Kiss and Paul and Gene love the Beatles, and there's the video on the Kiss Exposed singing, some Beatles tunes. And, I would love for Gene to do something. I'm not saying R&B, but something different. Maybe could be something similar, but something that's not a rock thing, because he obviously has this other voice. And we've had the privilege with owning the Vault, where we heard a lot of material was like, wow, listen to Gene's voice on this. It was stretched out from the Kiss stuff.
Yep.
And it'd be nice, again, while these guys can, maybe it's a long shot, but maybe Gene will say, wow, maybe this is something I want to do. I would love to hear something like that.
Yeah, no, I'd love to hear Gene do like a Beatles type album or whatever, because I like when he ventures into that. And one time when I saw Gene live, he actually did cover help during one of his solo shows, and I thought he did a good job of it. So and I forget what he covered in the Cleveland show that when you and I went, but I know it wasn't a Beatles song, but it was another cover.
Well, I think what Gene could do is like a British invasion type of product. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, how cool would that be? You know? Gene, I know you're the genius and you have all the ideas, but I just gave you a beauty. Please. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the thing is that he doesn't get the royalties from the songwriting, so there's probably not much money in it for him.
True, but if you release the song and it gets, some play in a movie or whatever, they get the right, not the rights, but that's why Kiss, when they re-recorded songs for the Sonic Boom, they redid all those songs because when it was put in Rock Band or Guitar Hero and they use those versions, they control the rights to those versions. The publishing always goes to, but there's also another, I don't know if they call it a royalty or whatever they call it, that goes to the artist for a re-recording.
Right. Makes sense. Well, if nothing else, he could do 7, 8, 9 Beatles type covers and then throw in 4 or 5 of his own originals that are in that vein, and voila, there you go.
Exactly. Gene has always said he was a master of copying other people's songs. He's like, I took my generation and flipped it and I wrote, whatever. I think it was was it My Generation? Yeah, I think that's what he said. I Love It Loud.
I Love It Loud. Yep, exactly.
And he just
so absolutely. So all right, so you've already placed your order March 5th. Now and then, I guess when the full album comes out, we'll have to do another one of these review or boo-boo-boos.
I'm curious if you're going to place the order. Well, I know you're not going to buy the vinyl because you're not into the vinyl thing, and I don't know if you buy physical product.
I haven't bought physical product in a long time now. I probably will in this case just to support anything that Kiss puts out, like I do with all their products. But I don't really buy physical product anymore, and I know that's so against everybody in our age group are probably going to yell at me. What? It's not right. But
so what I'm hoping for, Paul, hope you're listening, please. I beg of you. I have one more solo album that needs to be signed. Guess whose it is?
Paul Stanley's. Yeah.
Paul, have a signing of the album, of this album. Allow me to show up with your solo album and sign that one too. I will even pay an extra fee for that.
Ooh, an extra fee.
Because as we know, I don't think with any of the meet and greet stuff, do they normally sign extra other stuff, or it has to be the guitar? Or I don't know.
The guitar meet and greets, yes, they do sign extra stuff. But normally, if they're doing something like an in-store for something like this, it's usually they'll only sign the product. And obviously, during the pandemic, the likelihood of an in-store is 0%.
I know. Yeah, I could wish.
But Paul, if you're watching, he'll gladly invite you over. He's not as good of a cook as you are, Paul, but he will order a pizza, right? He'll order a pizza.
Any toppings you like.
Any toppings. Unlimited. Am I allowed to come over if Paul comes by?
Absolutely.
All right. I'll take sausage as my topping, please. I'll be. That was good.
I know you know that reference.
Yes, I do. I know that reference very well. All right. Well, I'll take sausage as my topping. Okay.
Very good.
All righty. Now that we're talking about pizza instead of Paul Stanley's song. If you haven't watched it or listened to it, go check it out on YouTube. I know it's available. I know it's available on Spotify. The album's out March 5th. I think that's a wrap for this episode. All righty, buddy.
All right.
I'll see you again soon enough. I won't make you wait another whole year until we do one of these again, okay?
Please don't.
All right. Later, everybody. Talk to you soon.
All right. Take care, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye. All righty. There you have it. Have you listened to Paul Stanley's newest single yet? If not, go listen to it and then come back and let us know what you think. I'm curious to hear what your comments are, since this is clearly not in the same vein as Kiss is normally known for, and certainly I'm sure Kiss fans will have lots of opinions about this. So we look forward to hearing yours. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock and Roll Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you next time.